In case you missed it last night, big news after the Clippers-Warriors game. Steph Curry and the Warriors hosting the Clippers in their home opener. Third quarter, Curry, he tips the rebound, tracks it down, and gets the finish. He had 18 points for Golden State. Now, later in the quarter, watch this. Curry, he tries to make a cut, but he would turn his left ankle. Oh, that looks like it hurts. He's hopping. He hobbles to the bench. He would sit the rest of the third, stretching his ankle. But in the fourth quarter, he would check back in. He goes to set a screen, but he'd tweak his left ankle again. Curry would immediately exit the locker room and not return. Now, let's go to the fourth quarter. The Clippers up by 3. James Harden finds Zubac, who slams it home. The Clippers would get the road win, 112-104. Chiney Ogwumike in for Malika Andrews, and I'm now joined by ESPN NBA senior insider Shams Charania. Now, Shams, what more can you tell us about Steph's injury?
I'm told Stephen Curry had an MRI this morning in the Bay Area, and Warriors officials do not believe that it's a serious sprain for Steph Curry, but obviously he's had plenty of ankle sprains, especially in the early part of his career. They don't have a firm sense on a timetable as of yet. But the feel going into today was evaluate Stephen Curry day to day, the swelling, the mobility, and how that reacts to treatment and other rehab obligations that he's going to have now today and into the next day. The anticipation is, could he miss a game or two? Potentially. They have a back-to-back against New Orleans on Tuesday and Wednesday in San Francisco. And then after that, they go on a 5-game road trip from November 2nd to November 10. And in the interim, if he does miss time, Brandon Podziemski is a player that they would, of course, slide into that point guard spot. But as of right now, the goal is to get Stephen Curry back on the floor, and the hope is that it's nothing serious on that ankle sprain.
Shams, you hear Steph Curry and you hear ankle and you get nervous, but nonetheless, it doesn't seem too bad. The Warriors are off to a really good start, 2-1, so this is truly a bummer. Thank you so much for the update. We appreciate you joining us. Let's now welcome in the rest of our squad, senior NBA writer for Anscape, Marc Spears, my Stanford sister from another mister, Ramona Shelburne, writer, and of course, our front office insider, Bobby Marks. Now, Mark, you were in San Francisco last night. What were the Warriors saying?
Well, there definitely was some concern. There was some talk that they expect him to miss at least a week in terms of Stephen Curry. But I talked to Steve Kerr. I'm like, how do you make up for his loss? And he said initially by committee, and he feels like they had more talent than they've had in recent years to fill that void of scoring. There's a lot of depth on this team. But the main guy he pushed was Andrew Wiggins. They need Andrew Wiggins to be big. He had 29 last night. He's averaging 20 points a game, just about. So expect Drew to get a lot of the touches, and they need Kuminga to step up, too. He's only averaging 8 points.
What's hard is they were off to a great start. They had an undefeated preseason, 6-0 in the preseason, 2-0 to start, and then they have this happen. And, you know, I know with the Warriors, they felt like the last couple of years they were digging out of a hole, right? They got up to such poor starts. They were just trying to make the play-in, and so to have this injury now is disappointing, although they don't believe it to be that bad. Yeah. I think last night was really, the Clippers played really good defense. Like, no, we don't want to talk about the Clippers because they lost Paul George, but they almost beat Phoenix opening night. They go in and beat Denver on the road.
JVG.
Then they play a back-to-back in Golden State. Forced 21 turnovers. That defense is real.
Well, I think the beauty with this roster right now is their depth. They've got roster flexibility with Buddy Hield and Moses Moody and Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton. But Shams made an interesting point as far as how long will Curry be out. Keep an eye on that 5-game road trip that's coming up here. They've got Boston, Cleveland, Oklahoma City, Houston, all in that realm of those 5 games. And certainly you've got New Orleans on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is not going to be easy games either here. But as we learned last year, you go 500 in the Western Conference, you can go from the 3 seed all back to the play-in.
Yeah, and it's never fun coming back, returning to your team on the road, but that might be necessary for Steph Curry. But as Ramona said, there was another team in that game. We have to give credit to James Harden and the Clippers because they're essentially just a layup away from being 3-0, so that's a good start for them as well.
ESPN.